Chris Mullen, and welcome to my project reflection video. I did my project in Adobe Illustrator for parts, Premiere Pro for parts, and we also worked with a DSLR. Some of my goals for the project were to learn how to use a DSLR to create quick video, and then using Premiere Pro to edit that video and turn it into little comedy sketches that would then be uploaded on our YouTube channel called Exhales Through Nose, which you can find a link for in the description. But first off, I'll start in Illustrator. What I needed to do here was create just a quick little logo for our YouTube channel. Exhales Through Nose, also ETN is what we decided to abbreviate it as. And so this was pretty quick. I've known how to use Illustrator for a while now, and so I was just using these skills to create just a nice little nose mark, I guess is what you could call it. But I didn't really know how to use the curvature tool, and I think it's something that a lot of people overlook in Illustrator. The curvature tool is a great little thing because it works very similar to the pen tool in that you have points and you can edit these points to kind of create Bezier curves. But the difference between the pen tool and the why is this not work? Whatever. The difference between the pen tool and the curvature tool is that instead of creating corners and hard lines like with the pen tool, if you click and then click again, it doesn't automatically create a curve here. All it does is create a straight line, and then if you make a third point, you can sort of make like a triangle very easily. But if I were to do the same thing with the curvature tool, I would end up with a very circular like object instead, which sort of more like an oval. And those were very similar paths drawn by the pen tool and the curvature tool, but very different outcomes. And so what I needed to do with the curvature tool was create just a little nose, and I just sketched that out on a piece of paper, took a picture of it, put it into Illustrator, and then traced it with the curvature tool, and that's sort of how I made my nose. And then there's a bunch of different variants of it. Just for a quick branding on our YouTube channel. That's just something that needed to be done. That wasn't really originally my main focus in the project, but it is something I had to do. Our main focus was actually learning how to write and come up with ideas relatively quickly. And I did this project in collaboration with Gabe Lundberg. He's a great guy, and we had fun working on it together. And his other project was also working with the DSLR, so this fit in really well, and so we just combined them. But what we wanted to do was make quick comedy sketches over just topics that we think are kind of funny. So our main project, the one that we filmed the most and had the most work put in on, was a quick little sketch about a SoundCloud rapper, and his name was Young Angel, and he lives in McPherson, and he's writing about how life is so difficult in McPherson, and it's a hard time. And so we decided to make like a documentary about why he was having such a hard time, and we called it Young Angel. We filmed on a Saturday, and we used pretty much all of the film. The editing process wasn't too terribly difficult, but getting together to film that Saturday was fine, but we wanted to have more videos within the 4-week project that we did. But unfortunately, I wasted a week because I was originally going to be doing some other project, but that didn't quite work out, and so I switched to this project. So we lost a week there. And then we filmed another project that didn't quite work out. It's this idea number 8 right here. It's a phone call between two people. One says he's sorry he can't hang out, but he's too busy, and the other is stalking him while on the phone. We filmed that and edited it together. Unfortunately, the Premiere Pro file isn't wanting to open, because it's a separate version apparently, but it just wasn't focused, and we didn't put enough focus into it. And if I could change one thing about our project, it would be that. It was a funny idea, but just we kind of went into it the second Saturday of the 4-week project, and we were like, yeah, we can just film it. And we didn't really have a game plan for it, and it didn't turn out as well as we wanted. But for our second project, or second video within the project, we really put together a lot of ideas that we wanted and how we wanted it to look, and we talked about it more just in order to make a better final product. And so that's what we've got here. For the DSLR, another issue that we had was we had picked a bad location to film, and so the constantly having to change the ISO and adjust the settings for the sound as well was difficult in the first project with the ICU. And so we watched a few things and kind of put our heads together and figured out how we can really use the whole entire DSLR instead of being focused on one aspect of it. And so that was good. And in terms of the actual editing, both of us sort of knew Premiere Pro. I had a lot of experience in it, so it wasn't terribly difficult to learn that. But I'd never used the colorization aspects of it, and to create sort of interesting film and interesting colorization within the film. And so that's something that I really wanted to focus on this time. If I can get to the effects panel, that would be nice. There we go. Maybe. Anyways, as you can see over here, Illustrator, or not Illustrator, sorry, Premiere Pro has a lot of effects, a lot of things that you can do to the film to make it feel different, just give it a completely different feel. And that's what we did here, specifically with this shot right here. You can see how we used the colorization. It's a lot brighter. I wish I had just the source. It's over here. You can see it's pretty warm right there, but it doesn't really have a whole lot of color. Like the red is fairly muted in the background. His jacket isn't necessarily as stand out-ish as it could be. And then whenever we switch into more of a wide shot and you can see more of the background, the building is dim, the street isn't popping as much, and we sort of wanted to give it like a, not a fantasy feel, but definitely more of a upbeat and like psychedelic wouldn't be the best word, but that's the only one that comes to mind. So more of a psychedelic look, just something to make the colors pop. And you can see here with the effects added, the reds are a little bit, just a tad more red, the deeper blues in the street as well, and it just creates a different feel. And that's kind of what we wanted to focus on with the project, is learning how we can apply these completely different colorization options to create different feels in our film, which is something I'd never done before and was really fun to play with in Premiere Pro. So that was the majority of our project. We want to continue this and keep making some things, so I guess keep your eyes open for more of our stuff. But that was my project. It was 4 weeks, and I used Adobe Illustrator, Premiere Pro, as well as Google Docs, just to kind of help with collaboration. And I had a really fun time with it. I would do it again, but like I said, if I could change one thing, I would definitely be more focused on coming up with more ideas, and then whenever we come up with an idea, actually developing it and creating more quality content like what we've got here. Instead of just one, I wanted to make 3, which didn't end up happening, unfortunately. So thank you for watching, and this was my reflection.